U.S.-Canada relations, they've been tense to start 2025. Trade talks impacting everyone from businesses to diplomats. NBC10 political reporter Matt Prichard is on it with this week's Sunday Sit-Down. As a note, this interview was recorded before Canada dropped retaliatory tariffs on the United States.
Good morning from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, where we are here just after watching the dory races taking place on the harbor right behind me. And obviously, we got to hear about the relationship between Gloucester, Massachusetts and this town, sister cities that have been doing this for nearly 75 years. But before we even left Boston, we had a chance to talk with Consul General for Canada in Boston, Bernadette Jordan, about the current geopolitical moment we find ourselves in, the relationship between the two countries, and where she thinks it's headed in the days ahead. Take a listen to our extended conversation with Bernadette Jordan. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk just about 2025 and the last 8 months or so. What has it been like to be in the U.S. but representing Canada?
Well, we're definitely in different times than we have been in the past. But, of course, we have such a strong history and relationship between Canada and the U.S. And making sure we tell that story, I think, is really, really important.
What are some of the challenges that sort of have arisen in these first 8 months of the Trump administration?
Well, of course, the tariff issue is number one. That is the big thing that is impacting both of our countries, and all of the things that have happened because of that, and whether we see a drop in tourism, and we're seeing Canadians not as willing to travel as they have been in the past. But we've had such a long history. We have a long, strong history. We've been friends, partners, and allies for so long that I think that we will find our way through this. It's just going to take some time, and it's going to take a lot of work on both sides.
In recent days, we've seen the president sort of suspend talks at this point, 35% tariffs being slapped on Canadian goods. Does that give you pause or at least pessimism about where things are headed, or do you maintain that optimism?
It's a different kind of conversation that we're used to having in the past. We've had tariffs before. We've had 232 tariffs on aluminum and steel in the past in 2017. It was actually this president who negotiated with and managed to have them removed. So these are things that we've been through before. I think this time it's a little bit different in terms of the way Canadians are reacting. Canadians have really dug in and found a national pride and are really working hard to support Canadian businesses to make sure that they're doing their part.
Do you feel like from your office that you're able to at least help with the relationship and the conversation between these two countries?
Oh, absolutely. We deal an awful lot with all of our state legislators. We work with, we talk to members of Congress. We deal with companies that have a foothold in both Canada and the U.S. On what the impacts are to them and how we can help them here at the consulate. And in 5 states, if the map that we have behind us just shows us how many jobs and how many exports to Canada each state are responsible for. When you think about New England and the amount of jobs that are reliant on Canadian export, it's significant. 8 million jobs in the U.S. are reliant on Canada. So when you think about that, we're your number one customer. So when you think about those numbers, it's a $1 trillion bilateral trade. It's significant for both countries.
You list off all of those different things, and those are really the top line things that people think of. But you mentioned the relationship as well between these two countries. We've seen in the past few months or so, we went up for the dory races in Gloucester. They have their sister city of Lunenburg. This time around, it felt like a lot of the Canadians coming down this way were hesitant to do so. They were a little bit worried about doing it. Was that unfortunate for you to see? How'd you process it?
It is hard to see. At the same time, it's also very understandable. I think Canadians feel that they need to support their own country, that they need to look at where they're spending their money and making sure that they're spending it in Canada as opposed to in the United States. So, there's been a huge increase in domestic tourism in Canada, and there's been a big decrease in tourism to the United States from Canada.
I know there was concern whether or not the dory races would even happen. Senator Bruce Tarr reached out to your office to make sure it would. Can you talk a little bit about those conversations?
Well, I think that, the dory races are something that's had such a long history. We've been doing this for so many years. I've been to them myself many times. The association has decided that it's important enough that they continue the tradition, and it's great to see that, the Americans are still coming to Lunenburg. It's very close to my hometown where I grew up. I spent a lot of time in Lunenburg growing up, so it's something that everyone looks forward to.
Do you have confidence that this relationship between these two countries is going to be able to still be there years, decades from now?
I think I have confidence that we will always have a relationship. I mean, when you think about, Canada is the second largest country in the world, but our population is the same as California. We are a trading nation, and we can't ignore 400 million people that live just south of us. It's the closest, most secure border that you would ever. I think the countries around the world probably look at Canada and the U.S. and say, we wish we had those kind of relationships with our neighbors. We wish we had those kind of, that kind of a border. It's a significant relationship. I think right now we're having some challenges. It's a challenging time. I think it's going to take a while to go back, but I do think that eventually we will find our way back.
Bernadette Jordan, thanks for the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Matt Prichard, great sit down.